Speak to Gordon Tamari.
And I need to address the court also. Why was I not given the opportunity to be able to have my witnesses here to call, to be able to answer? I never was given that opportunity.
What witnesses do you want to call?
I'm gonna have to have some witnesses from out of state come also to verify that the all capital letters name Anthony Troy Williams is not me, the flesh and blood man.
Okay, I'll give you an opportunity to put that on the record later, but let's deal with this witness now. Mr. Williams, will you be requiring Ms. Gutierrez to assist you?
No, I don't need no assistance from no bar attorney at no time.
All right, Ms. Gutierrez, please, you're excused, but when you're done, upstairs, return. Okay.
Please state your name. Where do you work, Mr. Tamari?
I work for the Public Safety Sheriff's Department.
How long have you worked for the Sheriff's Department?
6 years.
What are your duties as a deputy sheriff?
I work in the receiving desk, processing, booking, and taking gunshots, state arrests.
On September 13, 2013, were you working as a deputy?
Yes.
Were you assigned to assist in the booking of an individual known to you as Anthony Troy Williams?
Yes.
If you were to see Mr. Williams again, would you be able to recognize him?
Yes.
Do you see him in court today?
Yes.
Can you point him out for the court and describe what he's wearing?
That man right there wearing a black shirt.
May the record reflect identification of Anthony Troy Williams?
Yes.
Were you assisting in the booking of Anthony Troy Williams with deputy in his office?
Yes.
Was Mr. Williams' fingerprints taken?
Yes.
How was it taken?
Through the fingerprint card.
Was that done manually?
Yeah, manually using ink.
And have you taken fingerprints manually before?
Handful of packets.
And you were trained to do that at the Sheriff's Academy?
Yes, it's on the
And when did you attend that academy?
2007.
Did you take fingerprints for Anthony Troy Williams as you were trained?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I put your witness?
Yes.
Well, I'm showing you what's been marked for identification at the bottom as Exhibit 2, and it's two-sided. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is it?
It's a copy of the fingerprint card that we use to obtain Anthony Williams fingerprints.
And how do you actually recognize that it is for Mr. Williams?
I recognize it because part of the agreement for us to fingerprint him, he insisted that we allow him to write on the card, and this is all his writing that he wrote.
And you observed him writing that on the card?
Yes.
Were there the copies of the fingerprint card you have there? Are there any changes that you did not see on September 13th?
There's an initials and a date here. That wasn't every form. And signature on the back. It actually is signed the card for yesterday.
And why is that?
It didn't get signed that day, and that was pointed out to us, and I had to go down and sign it.
Aside from the location you put it out and your signature, is the card in the same condition that it was when you took Mr. Williams' fingerprints?
Yes.
And is this fingerprint card kept in the sheriff's office as part of your regularly conducted activity?
Yeah, it's kept in our office until it can be forwarded to the Board of Criminal Justice.
And it's in a secure location only accessible by sheriff's personnel.
Yes.
What happens to the card eventually?
I believe it gets submitted to the data center, and they tied it to the rest of the booking record.
Is that utilizing the justice status in your exchange?
Yes.
Did everything testified to occur in the city upon your delivery to the court?
Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, no further questions.
Mr. Williams.
Officer Batista,
No.
what's your last name?
Tamayo.
Oscar Tamayo. The fingerprint card that she just showed you, can I have him see that card again? Can have view that card. I need him to have that card so I can ask him some questions on these fingerprints. You do recognize the handwriting on that card as belonging to me?
Yes.
And can you read what is written on the card for the record?
Starting at which one?
The top box where it says contract. No contract.
The highest box with the writing on it would be the one that says name, first name, or last name and first name. Is that the one you want me to start from?
No, it should say
The top one says
nature, signature of person fingerprinted.
No, that's the next line down. The top one says contract filed in register of deeds for $500,000.
Okay, now go to the next one where it says signature of person fingerprinted, because all that's coming from that one line.
And then the next line down it says no contract / no consent / sound to copyright.
Bound.
Bound to copyright.
Right, then you got to read the rest, bound to copyright contract. What else it say?
And the social security box it says
No, you got to read the rest of it because it said bound to contract. Copyright contract, you got to read the rest because that's one sentence.
oh, I read that earlier when you asked me to read the top box.
Yeah, but that's not in line, that's out of line. So can you read it the way it's actually written?
I believe I did.
That's when you start from bound to copyright contract and read that whole sentence.
Bound to copyright. Oh, and then go back to the top and read contract.
Yes, right.
Contract filed in register of deeds for $500,000.
Yes. And then what was under the social security number?
Not applicable.
Okay,
I believe it says any n/a. I'm assuming that's for not applicable.
correct. And what is the other writing?
Under aliases / need and it says without prejudice. I believe it says Victor Charlie Charlie.
No, UCC.
No, Uniform Charlie Charlie 1-308, comma 1-103.
Mm-hmm.
And it says Anthony Troy Williams, Anthony Troy, Williams, hyphen, not Anthony Troy Williams.
And how is not Anthony Troy Williams written?
Not is in lowercase, Anthony Troy Williams is all in uppercase.
Okay, thank you. Those are all the questions I have for this officer.
Any other question? Okay.
Jacob Barry Concho. Please state your name.
Laurie Cunningham
Where do you work in this country?
at the White Criminal Justice Study Center.
Is that with the Department of Defense?
Yes,
How long have you worked here?
6 years.
What's your position?
I'm the criminal ID supervisor.
And what are your duties as a criminal ID supervisor?
I supervise the criminal ID unit for the data center.
Do you have any prior employment before working at the data center?
Yes,
What is it?
I worked at Track as their fingerprint trainer, and I also worked at HPD as the fingerprint ID tech and a fingerprint classifier.
Basically, all the employment you mentioned have to do with fingerprint comparisons. Is that
Yes.
correct? So, what is the total amount of years you worked doing that?
19.
Describe the nature of your work now.
We do all fingerprint verifications for the sheriffs statewide, and we do all the fingerprint verifications for all civil agencies statewide.
Do you work with this system called automated fingerprint identification?
Yes.
What is that?
The automated fingerprint identification system, or otherwise known as AFIS, is the fingerprint repository.
What type of training or education have you received in the area of fingerprint identification?
I've been trained by HPD's retired expert, Sergeant Russell Crossan. I've also been trained by the state's expert, retired Vince Nelson, and I've also received fingerprint.
Do you recognize that?
Yes,
What is it?
it's a fingerprint card that I did the comparison on.
Is that for anti-trade women?
Yes.
What is the state ID number on that card?
A60666604.
Objection, that's not an ID for me.
Your objection's on the record, so who you?
Your Honor, at this time, we would like to move into evidence of the state's opinion.
Mr. Williams, you want to object to that,
Item number 2,
which is the fingerprint card?
I should present whatever.
Right, we'll proceed.
How are you able to compare these prints of Mr. Williams to the FBI database?
When I received the fingerprint card, we scanned it, and the way our system works, it automatically searches the local AFIS, and then our system forwards it to the FBI, so it searches the FBI system. And when we got the response back from the FBI, it came back with an FBI number.
And what exactly does that mean with regards to comparison?
In regards to comparison, the FBI number means the individual has a record at the FBI, and each individual is assigned a unique number to them for the FBI.
What conclusion did you arrive with that information?
I was able to compare the fingerprint card, the state exhibit 2, to the FBI's fingerprints, and my conclusion came to the prints. Both set of prints were made by the same individual.
And I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but you said there was a match in the computer, and then did you do a manual comparison?
Yes, I did a manual comparison.
And actually, how did you do that manual comparison?
I requested the fingerprint card from the FBI.
And what did you do with that card?
I got the fingerprint card from the FBI, and I did a manual comparison to that fingerprint that was taken of Anthony Troy Williams.
And so again, based on your comparisons, the fingerprint in exhibit needed to match the one that the FBI had in store for Anthony Troy Williams. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you testified to a fairness in calling the community safe. Thank you. No further questions, John.
Mr. Williams, any questions of this witness?
Yes, ma'am. Can you state your name for the record?
Mari Kanashiro.
Ms. Conchero, when you did this fingerprint analysis, did you have someone verify it with you?
Yes.
Who verified it?
Kurt Kajioka.
Kurt Kajioka?
Yes.
Is he present in the courtroom today?
He's not in the courtroom. He's sitting outside.
Do you have documentation that he verified?
Yes.
Can I see that documentation?
I mean, what type of verification are you asking for?
I'm asking for the verification. She said that he verified. I want to see the computer generated that shows the match from the FBI file match this file. I want to see it for a direct match, because the only thing y'all giving me is a printout of some prints. And so I want to see the prints from the FBI file and then these files, and I want to see what the printout where it says there's a direct match.
No, I believe the state provided Ms. Gutierrez a copy of the prints that we did get from the FBI. and I believe she gave it to me.
When were those obtained?
I got it from her yesterday, and then they gave it to me for today.
Mr. Williams, did Ms. Gutierrez give you anything this afternoon?
The only print she gave me that I have is the card that I signed of these prints. I don't have a copy of the prints that was sent from the FBI. Neither do I have a copy of the computer-generated documentation that shows and that says direct match.
Do you have a copy of the FBI card?
Yes, sir.
Okay, nowhere on here does it says that this is from the FBI. Where's that it says it's from the FBI? Nowhere on this does it says it's from the FBI. It just has some fingerprints. These look like the fingerprints that they actually took here. This is not from the FBI. These are the first fingerprints that I took here. So I want the fingerprints from the FBI. That's not it.
Ms. Mariano, what did you give him?
Yeah, I gave him this package that I received from the witness, and it included the fingerprints.
Do you know, are you sure that you gave him what was obtained from the FBI?
I gave Mr. Jerry what I got from his concierge.
Maybe, Mr. Williams, you want to ask Ms. Kaneshiro, what do you have?
Because this is not from the FBI.
Okay, Ms. Kaneshiro, let me ask you. Do you have a copy of what you're saying from the FBI?
Yes, I do.
What does it consist of?
It consists of the fax cover sheet that they sent with fingerprints from the FBI.
How many pages?
It's a total of 4 pages.
Can I look into the pages? Let Mr. Williams see it.
This is not from the FBI. This is, I gave these fingerprints the other day. This is the same as this. So what are y'all trying to pull here?
Mr. Williams, do you have any questions of Ms. Kaneshiro? You can ask her that if you want.
Yes, these fingerprints are the fingerprints that I took on the first card that they did for me, and then I had to do this second card. So how did the FBI get these fingerprints that I just gave them a fingerprint to verify? So how are they going to use the fingerprints that I used here as fingerprints that they already have on file to verify the fingerprints that we have here?
That fingerprint card that you're holding from the FBI is a different copy from what was taken. It's the other print that was taken at the sheriff's facility at Calvary Street. If you look at the right hand is not printed very light. It's printed very lightly.
I understand it,
That
ma'am. I did two physical fingerprints.
Mr. Williams, don't argue with her. You can testify to those facts later on. You can
Yeah,
just
that's what I'm saying.
ask
So-
her questions.
Okay, so how do you know that your colleagues didn't take the fingerprints? Because these are obviously the fingerprints that I did. I did 2 sets. How do you know that your colleagues didn't send this to the FBI and then had the FBI fax this to you as fingerprints they already have in the database on me?
All of those papers, the 4 pages of the fax, the first 2 pages is the cover sheets from the FBI. The 3rd page was the fingerprint card, and the 4th page was the back side of the fingerprint card.
I understand that, but I'm asking you, how do you know they didn't send this to the FBI for the FBI to turn around and fax you with this cover sheet, the same prints? I know my fingerprints, the same prints, the first set of prints that I gave them, because this is the first set of prints. This is the second set of prints.
Okay, on that fax from the FBI, on the back, the fourth page, there's an ORI. The ORI is an originating agency identifier that's identified to every single law enforcement agency. And on the back side of that fingerprint card, the ORI begins with AL, and AL stands for the state that the fingerprints were submitted from. All fingerprints submitted from Hawaii begin with an HI. That's why I know those prints are not from Hawaii.
Okay, now, what date was these fingerprints taken by the FBI?
It's on the back, on the cover, on the back of the, on page 4 of that fax.
On the back of page 4?
It's on page 4 of the fax. That's the back side of the fingerprint card.
Okay, on here it says date of arrest, August 26, 1971, for the FBI.
Yes.
Do you understand what that date is, ma'am?
No, I do not. Oh, that's the date of arrest. The date the fingerprints were taken on that fingerprint card.
Okay, then that means these fingerprints, ma'am, were taken 17 days after I was born. Do you have an answer for that, ma'am?
No, I don't.
Because the date of arrest on this form says 1971, August the 26th. So again, what kind of game are y'all trying to pull on me here? I need an answer.
Well,
That's not a question, right?
That is a question. I mean, because she's saying that she got these prints from the FBI. Okay, on the back card, she said the date of arrest. The date of arrest is August the 26th, 1971.
I've heard her testimony. First of all, let's mark the 4 pages that were given to you from Ms. Kanashiro's file, the State's Exhibit 3.
And I need a copy of those too.
So we can make a record of it.
Yes, I need a copy of those. Also, ma'am, we just had an officer that gave a testimony that he initialed the fingerprints that I gave. Those are the exact same initials that's on the FBI prints that you're saying the FBI sent you. How did that happen?
Those are my initials because when I make the identification, I always initial a finger that I made identification on.
Well, the officer said this morning that those are the prints that I gave and that you initialed it. Those are the prints that I gave, not that the FBI sent you.
Yes, those are the prints that you gave, and that's what I used to make a comparison against the FBI prints.
No. You're saying this right here is the FBI prints that they sent.
Yes.
Okay, this is what you initialed. These are the prints that I gave here. This is not that was sent from the FBI. These are prints that I gave here.
That's what I got from the FBI last night.
So then why did the officer say that these are the first prints that they took from me, that you initialed, because it got 2 different timestamps on it?
He's going to, if you that, I don't believe the officer or the sheriff that testified make that a
Yeah, he did.
What was that question again, Mr. Williams?
The officer, because they took 2 prints from me. They took 2 sets of prints. This one was more darker, more smudged, so they had to take a second one.
So what are you asking her?
Is this one? I'm asking her, how does she know that these prints, which obviously were taken yesterday, was not faxed, sent to the FBI for them to refax it to her under the guise that the FBI had these prints on file for me?
Oh, she answered that question earlier.
No, she didn't. She never answered that.
She did.
How does she know that they didn't do that.
Well, she explained that there are 4 pages, and one is the back sheet, and it gives the date of arrest, which you pointed out to be 1971.
So,
And it had the state indication, which was what, AL, and Hawaii is HI. That's what she said.
right, so how, she still haven't answered how my fingerprints, we did an adult fingerprints with me being 17 days old.
But she said she didn't know, if I recall correctly. So that part you already covered. You
For this, well, for this evidence that as obviously I've uncovered here, these prints are inadmissible because to me it shows fabrication. It shows that the state is acting in bad faith because these prints right here were taken yesterday. This is not in the FBI database for her to.
Mr. Williams, it's not time for argument or testimony. It's time for questions of the witness. So do you have any other questions of the witness?
Yes, on this state exhibit list, the front page, does she have a copy of that? Because this has to do with the fingerprint, since she's the fingerprint expert. Does she have a copy of this? Do you have a copy of this, ma'am? It says state exhibit list, and it describes photo, copy of fingerprints, fingerprint card. Do you have a copy of this? Can you please provide her a copy with this so I can ask her some questions regarding this document? In the plaintiff section, who does it has listed as the plaintiff, ma'am?
State of Hawaii.
And is that in all capital letters?
Yes.
And on the defendant, who does it have listed as a defendant?
Anthony Troy Williams.
And is that all capital letters?
Yes.
And on defendant's attorney, who does it has listed?
Anthony Troy Williams.
And is that all capital letters? How is it written?
Things I'm checking on, this is out of the scope of her testimony, and it's.
No, I'm just having her verify.
She testified to a document that she never seen before and actually never prepared, so I don't believe that is relevant to this.
It's very relevant.
Testimony.
Because I got the finger. She says she's a fingerprint expert. This is a state exhibit for her fingerprint. So I'm making sure she identified this exhibit on the record.
Are you questioning her from the state's exhibit list?
Right, because it has the finger, because she's a
I'll sustain
fingerprint
the
expert.
objection. Listen, that's something the Attorney General prepares, not something she prepares.
I didn't say she prepared. I'm just asking her to read it so she can understand, because it has her as the fingerprint expert. So
Wow.
they're using her expert witness as the exhibit to use the fingerprints.
We've marked the exhibit, and there's no need for her to read the state's exhibit list. Why don't you move on?
There's no more further questions. I think I proved my point here today.
All right. Do you have any questions? This kind of should come back. Thank you.
Lord.
This is Exhibit 4. Or 3. State's Exhibit 3. What? Okay. How's your fourth page? State's Exhibit 3. State's Exhibit 4. There's a box for date of arrest.
Yes.
That date is 1971.
Yes.
And what was the arrest for?
Fifth of property one. And the other one's a stick of property, but it's a property both charges.
So those prints, according to your understanding, were obtained in 1971 for those property theft offenses.
And the date of arrest is listed at 1971.
Okay, then how do you know it's connected to Anthony Troy Williams?